Welcome to the deep dive. We take the sources you send us, sift through them, and, well, give you the shortcut to really understanding what's going on. Today, we've got an incredible stack of documents you shared, all centered around self-discipline, temperance, and this surprisingly deep idea of virtue. So our mission really is to kind of flip the script on what discipline means. Most of us hear self-discipline and think sacrifice, right? Like no dessert, staying late at the office. But these sources, they argue something pretty counterintuitive, that self-discipline is actually the clearest path to real freedom and even greatness. We're going to look at this across three key areas: the physical, the mental, and then this higher level, the magisterial.
Right. And to really lay the groundwork, philosophically speaking, we have to go back to the ancients, the Greeks specifically. They had this concept, art debt. Now, we translate it as virtue, but it's richer than that. It really means excellence, like achieving your absolute highest potential. And that takes serious self-control. Think about that classic story, Hercules at the crossroads. He gets to this fork in the road, right? And there are two figures. One is this, beautiful goddess offering Kakia, vice, ease, pleasure right now. The other one, stern, clear-eyed, offers nothing but hard work. That's a carrot, virtue. He has to choose the easy life or the life that's actually, well, worthy.
And that choice, that's basically our lives every day, isn't it? Even if we aren't Hercules. And here's the big hurdle, I think, the insight from the sources.
Yeah.
So many of us mix up liberty with license. We think freedom just means doing whatever we feel like, no rules, no restraint. But the sources are pretty clear that's a trap. If you really look at people living with zero self-restraint, they aren't free. The sources say they're adrift, vulnerable, disordered, disconnected. It was Eisenhower, funnily enough, who nailed it. He said true freedom is just the opportunity for self-discipline. If you ditch the discipline part, you lose the freedom pretty fast.
That's precisely it. If we don't govern ourselves internally, keep ourselves in check, we just become dependent on external things. Could be addiction, debt, other people's opinions, even just the chaos around us. Self-discipline isn't about punishment. It's the guardrail. It protects your potential.
Okay, let's dig into that. Starting with the first, maybe the most basic domain, the physical body. Ruling this thing, keeping it together. That's the absolute foundation. If you can't master your alarm clock, how are you going to master anything bigger?
Oh, absolutely. The discipline needed just for the body is immense. And maybe the best modern example is Lou Gehrig. We all know the Iron Man streak, right?
Yeah.
2,130 consecutive games. But we forget what that actually meant. I mean, playing through crippling fevers, intense back pain, migraines. He had broken bones multiple times. He even got hit in the head so hard by a fastball, his head swelled up too much for his own cap. He had to wear Babe Ruth's giant hat.
Wow.
So this wasn't just being tough, it was cultivating sheer willpower. It was that constant refusal to listen to the part of you that says, I'm tired, I'm weak, this hurts. His body was often failing, but his discipline, that made him utterly dependable.
Right. And when you hear that, you think, okay, do we all need to play through concussions? Is that the standard? But then the sources give this counterexample, which really shows the cost of not having that basic physical discipline. King George IV, a classic case of royal excess, total gluttony. His breakfast alone. It was recorded as 2 pigeons, 3 steaks, a whole bottle of wine, and a glass of brandy for breakfast.
Unbelievable.
And the result? He got so incredibly obese, he literally couldn't sleep lying down. The weight of his own chest would suffocate him. Eventually, he couldn't even sign documents himself. He needed attendance with stamps because he just didn't have the physical capacity.
It's tragic, really. His license, his so-called freedom to indulge constantly ended up imprisoning him in his own body. He couldn't even function. The pleasure was fleeting, but the cost was total ruin. Compare this to someone like Teddy Roosevelt. He lived this strenuous life, exercised like mad every day, even as president. And the real rewards, the energy, the clarity, the deep satisfaction that came after the hard work.
And that discipline shows up not just in big feats, but in the small daily habits, especially when life gets complicated.
Oh, for sure. Think about Toni Morrison, the writer. Phenomenal writer. She was a single mom working full-time, raising 2 boys. She didn't have the luxury of waiting for inspiration to strike or finding a free afternoon. Her writing time was that one precious hour she carved out super early in the morning. She called it Attack the Dawn.
Attack the dawn. I like that.
Yeah, and she realized this whole idea of being a morning person is kind of a myth. You build the strength by doing it even when you feel tired. Before the day starts making demands, it was sheer willpower. Show up, protect that space day after day. That physical discipline unlocked her creative freedom.
At that point, physical control unlocking higher things brings us back to Gehrig. He admitted, yeah, maybe his discipline meant he missed some immediate fleeting fun, But he said those who always choose the easy path, they miss something way bigger. They miss the chance to actually become who they could be, to reach their potential.
Exactly. Which leads us perfectly into the next domain, the mind. Temperament. The body's the vehicle, right? The mind is the steering wheel, the control system. The ancients use that metaphor of the charioteer. You need speed to win, sure, but you've got these powerful horses and your emotions, impulses, and you have to keep them under control. Keep a firm, balanced grip. Drive too fast without control, you crash. So control here means balance, temperance.
And that inner balance, surprisingly, often shows up as external order, like the story of Robert Moses, the guy who basically built modern New York City. Controversial, yes, but incredibly effective. And his secret weapon against all that chaos, a clean desk.
A clean desk, right.
Well, specifically a massive table with no drawers. His biographer pointed out this wasn't just neatness. It forced him to make decisions immediately. There was nowhere to stash problems, memos, mail. Everything had to be dealt with right then and there. No piling up, no mental clutter. That outer order created his inner calm, his capacity to handle huge projects.
That makes sense, and that links directly to another mental discipline, the power of saying no. Booker T. Washington faced just incredible demands on his time. He realized if he didn't know his absolute main thing, which for him was education, building Tuskegee, he'd just be eaten alive, pulled in a million directions by requests, invites, distractions.
That's still so relevant.
Totally. Look at Apple. Jony Ive and Steve Jobs didn't measure focus by how much they did. They ask, how many things have you said no to? Real focus means disciplined rejection, saying no to the good ideas to make space for the truly essential ones.
And when you have that focus, you can balance speed and control.
Yeah.
That old motto, festina lente, make haste slowly. History is full of examples where rushing things, lacking preparation, led to disaster.
Right.
Compare that to someone like General George Thomas in the Civil War. His nickname was Old Slow Trot.
Sounds like an insult.
Maybe, but his movements were slow because they were deliberate. He wasn't delaying. He was, as they said, getting everything right.
Meticulous intelligence, careful troop placement, planning for every contingency. His preparation led to this crushing victory at the Battle of Nashville. His slowness was actually the fastest way to win decisively. But even good emotions, positive passion, needs that temperance. We have to watch out for that madness that can come from just being carried away, even by excitement. Take Sam Cassell, NBA player, 2004 playoffs, hits this amazing clutch shot to win Game 7. Huge moment. And he immediately does his famous big ball celebration dance. Pure exhilaration.
Okay, wait. Are the sources saying you shouldn't celebrate? That seems wrong. Don't you need that passion in sports?
It's not about not feeling joy. It's the nuance, right? Temperance, not being a robot. The issue wasn't the celebration itself. It was the lack of control in that split second. In doing that dance, that brief, passionate move, he actually caused an avulsion fracture in his hip. Yeah. That injury basically sidelined him for the rest of the series. And a lot of people think it cost his team the championship. Passion, untempered, blinded his judgment, cost him physically right when he was needed most. That's the price of just a moment's indiscipline.
Okay, so that brings us up to the third level, the magisterial domain.
Yeah.
We've done body, mind. What exactly is this highest level the sources talk about? How does discipline look different when you're leading, when the stakes are public?
The magisterial level, it's about integrity under pressure. It's about being fundamentally unchanged by success, by power, by public opinion. It's maintaining that internal order, that quiet self-control, even when the world around you is screaming for extravagance or compromise.
Okay, give me an example.
Angela Merkel, former Chancellor of Germany. Even at the height of her power, she kept living in her normal, rent-controlled apartment. People would see her doing her own grocery shopping. She just seemed indifferent to the fancy perks of the job.
Oh.
That simple lifestyle.
Yeah.
That was a form of discipline. It ensured her focus stayed on the real work, her duty, not on status or appearances.
And that level seems tied into leadership in a really profound way. This idea of carrying the load for others. There's that amazing story about Brigadier General Jim Mattis. Christmas Day, 1998. He shows up at a guard post on base.
To inspect them?
No.
Wow.
He was there to take the watch himself so the young enlisted soldier could go home and be with his family.
Wow.
He famously told a junior officer, "The privilege of command is command. You don't get a bigger tent." Real leadership, magisterial leadership, means the leader takes the tougher duty, the smaller share, demands more from themselves than anyone else.
And sustaining that kind of leadership, that kind of greatness over time, requires one last really crucial discipline, one we often forget, the discipline of rest. Greg Popovich, the basketball coach. He nailed this way back in 2012 by resting his star players during the season. Load management, they call it now. He took a huge fine, like $250,000, and tons of criticism for it. But he had the discipline to play the long game. His goal wasn't just winning some random game in November. It was being ready for the playoffs, for championships.
But it's so easy now, isn't it, to glorify hustle culture, working yourself to the bone, 20-hour days. Why do the sources see that relentless drive as a form of indiscipline? Where's the line?
It's indiscipline because it often comes from a lack of self-respect, maybe even a fear of stopping, of being still. The tragic counterexample to Popovich is James Forrestal, America's first Secretary of Defense. An incredible workhorse, helped win World War II through sheer effort. But his indiscipline of overwork was so extreme. When the job ended, he just couldn't switch off. He couldn't rest. He spiraled into depression and tragically took his own life.
God, that's awful.
It is. The inability to give yourself necessary rest, to recharge, that's a fundamental failure of self-control. The sources call sleep an act of character, not a luxury.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener? The core message seems to be that self-discipline isn't just about getting better at stuff. It's fundamentally about becoming truly independent. Think about Cato the Elder, the Roman, famous for being frugal. His discipline wasn't about being cheap, it was his armor. The sources tell this story of people sent to bribe him. They find him at home, boiling turnips for dinner, drinking the same basic wine his slaves drank.
Right.
And they instantly knew. This mission is brainless. You can't bribe a man like that. A man who mastered his own desires was completely independent of their influence, their power.
And that independence, it's earned. It takes constant effort. You have to accept that failure will happen, but it doesn't have to be the end. Perfectionism can actually be a trap, a vice. You see masters like Da Vinci or Martha Graham, sometimes paralyzed, unable to finish great work because they feared it wouldn't be perfect.
So it's not about never failing.
No. The real discipline is getting back up. Floyd Patterson, the boxer, first ever to regain the heavyweight title after losing it. He got knocked down 7 times in one round against Archie Moore, 7 times, but he literally got up 8. He just refused, through sheer will, to let defeat be final. The chains only break when you choose to stand up again.
So that choice dependence or independence, reacting to every impulse or striving for something greater, it's a choice you make every single day. Self-discipline is the key. It unlocks you from your worst impulses, frees you from just reacting to the world around you.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, the choice you make today really matters. Because if you're not actively making progress in some area, you're probably sliding back. Things don't just stay static. So maybe the question to leave you with is this. What's one small thing, something seemingly insignificant? Maybe a messy desk, a habit you tolerate, a workout you keep skipping. What's one small thing you will choose to conquer today, just to free up that little bit of space, that energy for your real potential, for your destiny?